Welcome everyone to our Power Thinking, rejuvenating your amazing mind training for Wednesday, February 4th, 2026. And this is our 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time edition. I'm your moderator, Stanley Green, and always a pleasure to be here as we focus over the next 30 minutes out of the 10,000 minutes that we have every week. We're just taking 30, and we're confident that this 30 will be impactful as it relates to helping you to build these absolutely essential, not soft skills, but essential skills of resilience, so that as life throws those curveballs, we are ready. We may get knocked down, but we're not going to stay down. We bounce back because we understand what's happening in our minds, what's happening in our hearts, and we can take control as opposed to feeling powerless, falling into the state of what we call learned helplessness. So we appreciate you being with us. Of course, we have a special co-host this evening, one of our newest PowerThinking Corp mobile app users, Coach Carrie Willis. And Coach Carrie Willis is going to help us as we are now still in the beginning of 2026 to be financially resilient. From time to time, we do talk about finances and the importance of financial resilience as it relates to resilience in general. There are a number of people, as we speak, who are now getting their credit card bills and seeing just how much money they spent for the holidays, and may not be feeling very good right now. Maybe feeling a little anxious because they may not have the money to pay all of those bills, and they have to figure out a way to kind of move through all of this. So this is a good time to talk about financial resilience because it's the beginning of the year, and we have Coach Carrie Willis, who can talk a little bit about herself, but also talk about ways that we can get in front of this, ways that we can avoid falling into the same position each and every year, because it's around this time that newscasts have a little special on what to do when you're in debt. Well, how about how to avoid it next year? So Coach Carrie will be talking. So Coach, welcome. Thanks for joining us, and thank you for joining us as a Power Thinking member as well.
Thank you. I'm excited about being here and looking forward to the conversation about building financial resilience.
Excellent. Well, talk a little bit about why a number of news outlets feel compelled to talk about finances and debt as a result of what happened. It's amazing because everyone's excited in October, November, December, and they're actually sharing, consumer reports about how consumers are spending more this year than they were last year, and that is just great for, the outlets and for Amazon. They'll report on those numbers, what people are spending online, and then in January they say, oh, by the way, we have $1.3 trillion of consumer debt. People have overspent, and here are some tips to pay down your bills. And the reality is that if people had the money to pay down those credit card bills, they probably would have spent that money during the fourth quarter of last year. So what are your thoughts about the position that most Americans are in today?
I think that's a great observation that we have so many uh, media outlets that talk about spending, 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 and then they talk about getting out of debt. So I think that we do it because we look at patterns, and statistically, around those months that you mentioned, people go into debt. And so we start making those New Year resolutions or New Year, New Me resolutions in January, and around February, sometimes people are still feeling the pinch. So I'm really grateful that we're having this conversation. And I think a big part of it is media outlets and other organizations trend track, meaning that they track the spending and they also track the debt. And so I think it's important to have those conversations. But I really love what you said about not going into debt. I always say we go into debt on purpose. Let's become financially resilient on purpose. Let's get financially stable on purpose. And so hopefully we'll be able to shed some light on that conversation this evening.
Fantastic. So we have some folks who are on the phone lines. Feel free to hit *6. We'd love to hear from you. I do see that from time to time we're having a little bit of a connection challenge, so bear with us. But love to hear from you. Hit that *6. We shared a video, Coach Perry Willis, and you watched it as well. Short video on debt. Getting out of debt. And so there were a couple of strategies that were mentioned about getting out of debt. What is your advice around debt this time of the year, dealing with that debt from the fourth quarter of last year, in terms of paying it down and putting oneself in a position so that they don't experience that again?
Well, one of the strategies that they talked about was the snowball effect, what I call debt stacking. And that's simply paying off your smallest bill first so that you can feel some success. And then you take the money from the smallest bill. That's not new coffee money. You take the money from the smallest bill and then you pay off the next smallest bill. All the while, you're still making those minimum payments on your other bills. But every time a bill is paid off, you take that money and you pay off the next smallest bill. And once all of those bills are paid, now that's money that you should really invest into an account so that your money starts working for you. And the other process that they talked about is the avalanche process, where you pay off the biggest bill first, which can save you more interest. But for a lot of people, they did mention that might feel overwhelming. And so there are different methods that different financial advisors use to help people to pay down debt. But we know the best way is to try and avoid debt by pre planning. And we'll talk about that a little bit later on.
Oh, great, great. So I want to acknowledge a few folks who are on LinkedIn. We have Christy Williams, who is one of our members and joining us from, I believe, in Florida. Jackie Hallberg, good to see you. Haven't seen you in a while. Thanks for joining us. And she says hello to everyone. We have someone joining us on YouTube, Layla Llewellyn, who is out in California and is joining us from the San Francisco Bay Area on YouTube. Welcome to Layla. And from North Jersey, of course, good old Merrill. Merrill, I don't know how he does it. He keeps track of every event and makes sure that everyone's aware of the events that are coming up. He says, "Hi, Stanley and Coach Gary Willis. It's good to be with you live from Northern New Jersey." And so we thank you all for joining us. And on our phone lines, again, feel free at any point to hit *6. We'd love to get your thoughts about what we are focusing on this evening. So let's give you context, Coach. What we do with resilience is we help people first understand this concept of learned helplessness. It was actually a theory that was proven back in the late 60s through a series of experiments by a Dr. Martin Seligman. And Dr. Seligman is the head of the Positive Psychology Center, University of Pennsylvania, and that's where our material comes from. He is also a gentleman who is considered the father of this new branch of psychology worldwide called positive psychology. And he theorized and proved it in that people can fall into a state of helplessness. They can actually learn to be helpless if they suffer through a traumatic event. And for some people, getting in massive debt is traumatic because then the bill collectors start calling, all right, and they never give up. Or a consistent failure to succeed. So folks that repeat the same behavior year after year will fall into the state of helplessness, figuring that they'll never, ever get out of it. And so what happens as a result of this is that their emotions are affected. As I mentioned, they could have anxiety, feel embarrassed because they're in so much debt, sad, guilty, um, and even angry. They could actually suffer from poor impulse control. Even though they have, these negative emotions, their impulses haven't changed at all in terms of spending money, and they completely go out of control. Another strength of resilience is empathy, their self-efficacy, the belief that you have control over your ability to succeed. And of course, if you are, feeling depressed, feeling powerless, your self-efficacy could be down. Your belief that you can succeed could be down, and be financially stable. Also, your optimism, the view that all things will ultimately have a successful outcome. There are a number of folks as we speak that may not believe that. This is the way it is for me. I'll never get out of debt. And then there's causal analysis, where folks may be weak, not drilling down to the root cause of what happened with the debt, but simply operating on that surface level, again, feeling a little paralyzed. And here's the strength that could be the big differentiator. It is a strength nowadays, it's a weakness. Reaching out, taking the initiative to connect with other people like yourself, Coach Willis, who can help them. Instead, they're just, you know, having this going over and over again in their minds that they're in debt and it's impossible. And there you are, and folks like you who can actually help them out of that situation, and then take that action to make that phone call, to send the DM after getting your information on this broadcast. So, what are your thoughts about kind of the mindset of folks who may feel powerless, may feel helpless as it relates to their finances?
Such a great conversation. One of the things that you mentioned was the causal analysis. And a lot of our financial trauma and our thoughts about money sometimes come from our childhood. I love recommending books. I'm an avid reader. My coach has me reading books. Yes, I have a coach. And my coach has me reading books, and I do book reports every single day. But one of the books that I read is called The Mountain is You by Brianna Weiss. And so that's just a great place to start understanding yourself, understanding your mindset, understanding why we make some of the choices that we make. And then another great book is Atomic Habits, to see how we form habits. What are some habits that we may want to get rid of, and what are some other habits that we want to keep? And so I think mindset matters are really money matters, and money matters are really mindset matters. And until we get our mindset together, when I'm working with someone that wants to be a new client, I start with mindset. A lot of financial coaches may start with other tools and resources, but I believe that mindset is so important. And that's one of the things that I love about the Power Thinking app. I love getting the text messages in the morning, in the evening, just the little reminders of positivity, because the habits that we have that don't best serve us, you can change those habits. And Power Thinking is one of the ways that you can do that. And actually reading books and changing your mindset, doing daily self development, those are other ways that you can start to change your habits as well.
Fantastic. Great stuff. Well, thank you very much. We want to say hello to Jafora Fox, Dr. Jafora Fox. Thank you for joining us. And she says, hello, Stanley and Coach Carey. Jackie Hallberg has a comment as well. Financial trauma really is a thing. Thanks for acknowledging it. That's a great point. Yeah, I think there are so many people that are striving, and we have Carla Hill on the line. We'll get to Carla, striving to show success, that they are successful, and they'll have the nicer cars, and you go in the house and they'll even tell you that, oh yeah, this is my brand new sofa or dining room set, and really brag about the things that they have, and yet are suffering because they may have gone into great debt, for all of this. And then if they lose that source of income, a job or a contract, if you're an entrepreneur, then they really can get depressed. So it is a source of trauma for folks. So your thoughts about that, and then we're going to go to Carla Hill.
Again, with financial trauma, and I love Jackie's comment, it is a thing, and it's real for a lot of people. But just like with other types of trauma, sometimes people seek out support, whether it's through therapy or other types of services, and you actually can do the same thing with finances. My services are like, some jobs have an EAP or an employee assistance program. If people are having mental health challenges, they'll send them to therapists. If people are having problems with alcohol and drugs, usually on the job, they'll send them to a program to help them to get support. But when we have money problems, a lot of times we don't have anywhere to go. That's where I come in. So I offer free complimentary services in the financial style EAP so that people can come in and explore what are the things that have happened to make me think about money the way that I think about money? Did it start in my childhood? Did I have a traumatic experience as an adult? Is it through a divorce or a loss of life? And a lot of times people don't really start asking those money questions about life insurance or investments until someone passes away. And so it's really
Mm.
important that we start having those conversations really in middle school. Would be awesome. Sometimes they do it in high school. Recently they've started doing that in some states, but it's just conversations that need to be had sooner than later.
Excellent, excellent. So we have Leanna uh, from yes, from Duluth, Minnesota. Of course, I always talk about how I was there. Great to have you, Leanna, and we have John Warner as well. Um, who is joining us. Says good evening from Chicago. Happy Wednesday. Thank you, Merle Cass. So there's Merle and Kenneth. They're at it, sending out the invitations for sharing the invite. Appreciate you folks being here. So thank you very much. We're going to go to Carla Hill. Thank you for your patience. If you can mention where you're joining us from and your thoughts about financial resilience in 2026. Welcome.
Yes, I'm Stanley calling from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Welcome to Carrie again. And it's great to have specialists, right, as part of the team, someone that focuses us on things that are important, like our finance, the structure. And that's a resource that everybody uses. And that stewardship. And I love the video because I love how-to videos. They gave very strong instructions. Everything works and nothing doesn't. If you do nothing, that whether you want to start with the snowball method or if you want to start the reverse, it's really starting. And that's why I'm here in terms of power thinking, because we can have there's so much content, right? YouTube alone, then we add podcasts and TV, and it's but when we don't have intentional ways of practicing, we won't get the results. And that's a tool like power thinking and the tools or the habits, the skills that we talk about in terms of really well, I was going to say empathy, but that's one thing. I just think if somebody has great skills with money, they may have great skills, may be poor in other areas, or like you said, impulse control. If we can have discipline, whether it's exercise or what we eat, those in HR world we call those transferable skills. It's like, okay, it's the discipline to do this, not to to spend within our budgets. But I need reminders, right? So reaching out, the coach said she has a coach, right? Because it's difficult to really withstand all the things that come our way. Our social media sites, our pockets, everything is programmed to get us to want more of it. So how do we resist that? And it is the impulse control. All the things you say, but how do we practice that every day to make sure we're successful in doing what we need to do? So again, and part of it is reaching out. So like Carrie talked about, somebody that is passionate about what she's doing, and it's almost like a lift while we climb. She's doing that, and she wants to make sure that she's doing that for others as well as power thinking. And there's so many things that we have to get better at, but those 14 skills that we're talking about all the time, that's why I'm here every week.
Yeah.
Because I need to make sure I'm a resilience practitioner. So thank you.
And not only are you here every week, but you're here both sessions. And we're talking, folks, 7 years. Over 7 years that Carla's been doing this while she was a director of HR for the city of Philadelphia, now retired with her own company, GPS Strategies. Carla, thank you so much for your consistency and for your shares every week. So really appreciate that. And we're going to go to Greg Jones in another minute or so. But Coach, so what are the steps to actually, if we talk about this impulse control, and there are folks that get themselves into the same position every year, and they can't resist the impulses, and it's not all their fault because we have to recognize that they're big, powerful companies that are selling things to us that they hire psychologists. I'll never forget that I had a friend and his daughter studied psychology, and she was hired by one of the big consumer companies who they're working hard on trying to figure out how to get people to buy their products. And then we had the dynamic of traditional media from back in the day, from 3 channels to 4 channels to cable TV. And I was part of cable when we went from like 30 channels to now 500 channels. And then social media on top of it. And you can't go anywhere without seeing, if you inquired about a product, seeing that product pop up over and over and over. So, and it works on us and it gets us to the point where we break down and we buy. How do we deal with that?
That is a great question. And one of the things that I love what Carla talked about was discipline. And anything that you don't understand, somebody is going to be able to use that against you. And so we sell ourselves when we go on a job interview. It's either you're selling or you're being sold. And so one of the things that I made sure of is I had to understand sales. There's a great book. You all know I have another book for you. It's called The Power of Consistency by Weldon Long. And it really talks about the prosperity mindset, but it's the prosperity mindset training for sales and business professionals. And even if you are not in sales, you want to understand how sales work, because again, if you don't understand it, people can use it against you. And so I see those same commercials, I see those same advertisements, I see those things on television, I see them on social media. Sometimes I just mention something in my house and it shows up on my phone. That's a whole nother
Oh
conversation.
no, that's right. It starts
But
talking
what's
back to you too.
it does. But what's really important is that you understand that power of consistency and that you have that discipline and understand how sales work so that you're able to overcome a lot of those things that you're seeing.
Excellent, excellent. All right, then we're going to go next to Greg Jones. And before we do, I did post up on the screen Kenneth's comment. Let me go back to that. And tonight's conversation is filled with nuggets of wisdom, information, knowledge, inspiration, encouragement, positivity, encouragement, empathy, support, guidance. Kenneth, you said it all. Thank you very much. Let's go to Greg Jones. Greg, thanks for joining us. Mention where you're joining us from and your thoughts about financial resilience. Welcome.
Good evening, all, and I'm just delighted and excited that we're having this exchange, this conversation. It's definitely something that we need to have every quarter
Mm-hmm.
of the year because, when you can elevate, in order to elevate, we've talked about some of the concepts and to do that, to elevate and improve your current situation and circumstance. Things like discipline and awareness and literacy and all the commentary that we received tonight. I mean, this really is almost ought to be a national conversation because where we are and our lack of knowledge and understanding of money is really has really set us back in generations and families and neighborhoods and communities and even this country. So I'm so glad that we're having this exchange. 4 things I just want to leave with that when I'm speaking to audiences and groups and individuals, when you graduate from high school, I think it's important that the students have these four things in place. Number one is an investment account.
Okay.
Young people are some of the biggest consumers anyway. So at least if you have an investment account, if you know what it is, because you're contributing to the profit margin of some of the major companies in this, country anyway.
Yep.
As a consumer,
Yep.
why not have ownership?
Yep.
An investment account. Number two, have a checking or savings account.
Yep.
Number three, be registered to vote. And number four, have a passport. Be able to travel, expand your globe and your exposure beyond your local sphere and circle. Travel around the world, get an opportunity to go to different places so you have a better appreciation of what is going on and a better appreciation of your own circle when you come back.
Great.
And so those are four things that I think are important I speak to students about when they graduate from high school. And probably a fifth one is to have manners.
Got it.
So
good.
those are five things that need to go along with your high school diploma.
Perfect.
And as my friend and brother Calvin Patterson would say, I am complete.
Fantastic. Great. Thank you very much. And thank you for all the work you do, Coach Kari Willis. This community, these are folks that, are not only, getting information, but they're also helping other folks. As you heard from Greg, he really focuses on the young people and does a tremendous job with them, and from time to time shares with us what he's sharing with them. So as we wind down, give us a couple of pointers, things that we need to be focused on. Great points. And maybe you want to comment on what Greg mentioned, and also your thoughts about what we need to focus on right now to position ourselves for a better 2026, and then how people can get in touch with you. Certainly outside, they can get you on the PowerThinking Corp app, but certainly outside of the app.
All right, great. So in terms of what Greg said, I think it's really, really important that we speak to our youth and start them on the path of understanding the importance of investing. I love number one in terms of the investment account. There are different types of accounts. And so depending on suitability, depending on what someone's personal goals are, those accounts can be different. I have a lot of videos on my YouTube channel. Feel free to watch them, share those with your students. And you want to have a checking and savings account, but how much money should be in those accounts versus other accounts is also a conversation that is available on my YouTube channel as well. So I love that Greg is starting with the youth, because sometimes you don't even hear about those money conversations until you become an adult. So starting that foundation early is amazing. In terms of the three things that I think that people need, one is you need to connect with a licensed financial coach and get a complimentary financial needs analysis. I love what Carla said. Don't just hear the information and then do nothing. Don't just be a consumer, be an actor and be active in your own life. You have to become an active participant. So one, connect with a licensed financial coach. I'm happy to do it, but it can be somebody else that you're connected with. Two, make a list of where your money is being spent. What subscriptions do you have? What bills do you have? Every dollar is a soldier in the war against poverty, and you want to make sure that your money is fighting for you and not against you. And so your money's job is to make more money. And so you want to make sure that your money is in accounts and in places where that can happen. And then thirdly, you want to plan your spending. One of the ways that you can avoid the holiday blues is by planning ahead. Now it's February. We know December is coming. Start putting a little bit of money aside into your fund account. There are 4 buckets that you should have. One of those buckets is a fund account. And so you want to make sure that you're setting that money aside so that it's not such a big burden. We know the holidays are coming up. We know birthdays are coming up. We know that there are special celebrations. Our friends might be getting married, or some people even have divorce parties now. But whatever the big celebrations are, you want to start setting that money aside in advance. If you're interested in getting a complimentary financial needs analysis, or you just have money questions, like where's the money at? Make sure that you reach out to me. I am on Great Finances on all social media platforms. That's GR, the number 8, and the word finances with the letter S at the end. So, Great Finances on all social media platforms. That's also my website. And of course, you can always connect with me on the Power Thinking app.
All right. Fantastic. Well, Coach Carrie Willis, thank you so much. This has been amazing. This morning was great. And all of the folks on our phone lines, folks who are on LinkedIn from all over the country, thank you for your comments as well. John Warner had the last comment. I think it's also important to celebrate the small wins when it comes to financial resilience, acknowledging milestones in debt, repayment, and savings. And by all means, don't fall into the thinking trap. We didn't go over our skills like the ABCs and thinking traps and detecting icebergs and challenging beliefs, putting it in perspective, calming and focusing, real-time resilience. But one of the big thinking traps is personalizing, where we beat ourselves up too much. So yeah, even though the wins are very small, it's a win. Celebrate it, be grateful, and move forward. So Coach Carrie Willis, thank you so much. Thank you all for joining. I'm going to say goodbye to the folks who are on our phone lines. Thank you for hanging in a little overtime, and for folks who commented, and Carla Hill and Greg Jones. So really appreciate you all. Thank you, Sharon Smalls and Carla and Joan Preston and Bill Peterson, Greg Jones, Dave Sidoti, Calvin Patterson. Great to see you as well. Take care, everybody. Have a great one, and we'll see you next week. Joy Langley from the UK is coming up next week. Take care. And on our 5 platforms, LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, X, and Twitch. We appreciate you for being with us as well. We got us awesome. We'll end with that comment from Layla Llewellyn in the Bay Area. Awesome, with a heart and a grateful prayer. Take care, everyone. This has been Power Thinking. Join us on our app. We are constantly evolving and improving. We hope to see you there. And we'll definitely see you here next Wednesday for our Power Thinking Corp.